Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
Welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations, never watered down, always served straight up. I'm sure I'm changing that entry every single time I say it. I'm joined today with Marshall Tucker, Alicia Hooper. We've got the man behind the glass over here, James Mendez.
New guy.
And our special guest, Paul Campanaro. How we doing, Paul?
How's it going,
guys? Paul, very
Good.
nice.
Good to be
All
here.
right.
Thanks
Very
for
happy
having me.
you joined us, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about Paul Campanaro.
So licensed in 03, but I didn't get into the business until 08 full time. I was just kind of messing around like everybody was in the early 2000s when everything was fantastic and shiny and wonderful. And in Las Vegas, the early 2000s was a booming time and the economy was just banging. So it was easy to be a bartender actually and work and make $100,000 on the side in real estate. Like it was that crazy.
On the side.
It really, it was. Right.
Pocket change.
Exactly. So the 2008, I went full time. January, actually 2008, it was the perfect year to get into real estate. And my first, so back then the market was crashing, right? 07 in October, we began to feel it in Vegas. We knew that crap was going to hit the fan. And then by January, we knew we were in full free fall. And so for me to quit working on the strip, VIP services and high-end gourmet food stuff, it was a shock for my friends and family to think that I was going to go to real estate full time. But my first 3 years in the business, 102 transactions, and then year 3 into year 4, I went from 52 to 129 in 1 year. I took 169 listings in 1 year.
Wow.
And it was from the Red Book, actually. A client gave me the Red Book, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I threw it on the side. But I was doing 50 transactions a year, and I almost quit because in Vegas, the average price got down to $108,000, taking into consideration that the average commission was 2% because REOs and short sales weren't giving you 3%.
Yeah.
It was 2%. So 2% on a $100,000 deal minus splits and commissions and taxes, guess what? That equals not a lot.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'll go freaking wait tables and for $100, there were restaurants I could make $80,000 net in my pocket. And that's a $100,000 a year job. Waiting tables, that's ridiculous. I'm like, I'll just go back and do that.
Yeah.
But long story short is I had met through a little piece of junk, not piece of junk. It was respectful. It was just a beat up house that I had sold for $50,000 as a short sale. Who referred me to her mom? Who referred me to the brother? And the brother was an analytic for the top foreclosure guy investor. I meet him, we collaborate, he sees I got short sale game, and basically we go off and do our own small brokerage where I hire a couple ISAs, outbound callers, because I knew what I could do in regards to statistics to set appointments. And so I figured, well, if somebody isn't as skilled or has no skills, what would that look like mathematically on the equation to contacts to an appointment? And so we did the math, and he helped fund me, and that's where we were taking 18, 20 listings a month.
Oh,
That's
wow.
awesome.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's parlay that real quick. Let's clarify. Red Book. What is that?
So the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, written by Gary Keller, is a collaboration of what successful agents have done and really outlines systems and models for how to be successful in real estate. And really, it's more of a manual than a book. It's not something you read through once. It's kind of something you keep on in your office where you refer back to on systems and flows and budget models and lead generation so that I can keep tabs on how my business is doing. Because that's one of the biggest problems in real estate. People don't treat their business like a business.
Right.
That's right.
Right, they're treating it like the referral game where I'll just be nice to people and hopefully people will refer me business. Well, how's that plan on hoping for a paycheck going?
Mm-hmm. I treat mine like an ATM.
Right?
When my bank account set up,
But that book outlines specifically how to set up a formula for success for not what Gary Keller preaches, but what other agents actually have done.
Right.
Almost like Napoleon Hill with Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Right? He had interviewed with Carnegie, however you want to say it. But that's what Gary did. He went out and interviewed all these mega producers and then just lumped it into this one book.
No, it's a fantastic book. I just wanted to clarify because a lot of our listeners aren't of the Kool-Aid like we are.
Drinking, right?
Yeah. aren't the Kool-Aid drinkers like we are, and so we know what the Red Book is. I think it's one of those books. Doesn't matter what brokerage you're with.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anything about that. It's one of those great books, just like The One Thing and just like Shift.
That's right.
3 great books in real estate that I think every new agent coming into the business should read.
I wasn't
I
even
agree.
Keller Williams when I got that book.
Yeah.
I was with another major competitor.
Yeah, actually, I was with a different brokerage in town, and it actually was Gary Keller's first brokerage. I was the same brokerage, and I went in there with that book, and in a meeting, I kind of quoted something in there, and he said, "Don't ever bring that book in here again, and don't ever mention that to him
Heresy.
again."
Right.
And so right then, I knew I was like, you know what? I'm in the wrong broker.
There you go.
You know what? I gotta go talk to somebody
Hey,
over
you
here.
are who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
That's right.
And I was one of our past conversations was scarcity versus abundance. I was in a scarcity brokerage. I'll give you that. So
Yeah.
on to bigger, better things over here. So, all right. So we've had this conversation before. It's on one of our podcasts in the last year or so. I've got my real estate license. Now what? I know that you speak to a lot of new agents coming in, being you know what you do for the Keller Williams there in Austin, Texas, and you're having to deal with people all the time that are all spectrums. They're on all over the board from 1 to 10. If you were a scaling agent, you get a lot of people right at that 0 to 1.
Yeah.
That I've got my license, Paul. Now tell me, what do I do?
Yeah, so I've transitioned over from. So I still have some business back in Las Vegas. It's only a smaller scale of what I did in the past, but I made the transition from into coaching and training, and now as a team leader at the Northwest Market Center in Austin, Texas. So I've had really a privilege of other major brands. I've owned my own brokerage before, and so having a good sample of what agents go through, and really having a good idea of what that entails, and really the first major building block is to understand, honestly, I was going to say schedule. Honestly, I was going to say creating a schedule. But honestly, I think you really have to have clarity with your why. I mean, if you can't tie a why to what you're doing, because I'll give you the Red Book. Set out the perfect plan for you. It is technically perfect.
Yep.
But you ain't gonna follow through,
Right?
If you're because here's the people get stuck into. They engage in activity, they don't see the results that they're looking for. They get discouraged. There's rejection, and then they don't feel like it anymore.
Yeah.
Motivation's gone, right? Well, the problem is this isn't a motivation game. This is a perseverance game. This perseverance pays in this game. Sales too, right? I mean, that's sales, right?
Yeah.
Perseverance pays. It's
a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, but how do you persevere that? Because everybody gets discouraged. Everybody sees lack of results. And unfortunately, we can't swipe a credit card because I'm selling vacuum cleaners or Scentsy oils. I love Scentsy oil, but I mean, I'm just saying, this isn't a quick transaction. This is a service oriented. Right. So it's going to take me 90 days, 60 to 90 days to be able to convert that opportunity.
Right.
And so what's your perseverance factor on how you're replenishing and renourishing your mindset? And I don't just mean like the Red Book. What are you doing for your spirit, your energy, your soul, whatever you want to call it?
And not in a woo-woo way, but more of a really kind of mindset.
Right.
You know, what's your why? Why are you striving towards this every day? Why do you get out of bed every single day?
It might be a vision board, gratitude lists, or prayer, meditation, or music, something to
keep the passion alive.
Yeah, because then the next step would be, all right, have a schedule, because if you can follow your schedule 75% of the time, big win.
Yeah.
Huge win. Because it is what it is, what it is, what it is. It's just prospect, follow up. What are the 5, right? Prospect, follow up, lead generate. That's lead generation. Go on appointments.
Lead generate.
Negotiate contracts. See, we needed the technical guy in here.
Right.
Go on appointments. That's it. But we complicate this. Well, I got to do this. I got to do that.
I got to get ready.
I got to get ready. How about this? Creative avoidance.
December plan.
Oh, well, this is email over here. And look, you're not following your schedule.
Right.
No.
That's the problem is I'm the CEO and the janitor.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Yep.
There's too many distractions on what I need to do, which is prospect, follow up, go on appointments.
Yeah, you're actually shaking my head a little bit on this, just because it's I'm trying to communicate to some fellows on my team, really kind of this is what you have to be doing. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. You know, and our thing is seats in the chair. We're realtors, right? We're on realtor time. Nobody can tell us what to do. We don't have a boss. What do you mean I got to be there at 9 o'clock? Well, you know, if you want to be a part of our organization, we're in the office by 9 o'clock, which is late. Most teams I see around here starting at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
That's right.
Right. So you're in by 9 o'clock. You have a quick kind of like a alley rally is what we used to call it in the restaurant business, but a little rah time where, hey, we talk about something. We talk about a win we got from the day before. What's our affirmation for the day, and then what's our goal for the day, and then we do a little script practice, a little back and forth on the subject that we're going to be calling around that day, whether it's FSBOs, expireds, if we're calling out to our sphere or whatever else.
Yeah.
And then we just unleash the plan. So 9:30, that's all done within 30 minutes. 9:30 to 11:30, 2 hours, and intentionally calling.
Yeah.
Hitting the phones, hitting them hard, and being that sales team. And a sales team doesn't mean we're calling and selling you a vacuum like you had mentioned earlier, calling or selling you Sensi or something like that.
Yeah.
A sales team is really just doing what? Just making those
outreach.
Contacts.
It's outreach.
Yeah, and keeping omnipresent out there in the market and saying, hey, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
And we're professional problem solvers, right? So we've gone through that before. We're professional problem solvers. We don't sell you anything. We just help you solve problems. What do real estate agents? What problems do we solve? Well, you can't get into the house because there's a lockbox on it and people live there. There's a problem we get solved. You can't write contracts because you don't know what you're doing. So therefore, we solve that problem. You can't negotiate the contract. You can't really look at an inspection and intelligently look at it and say, well, this, and this needs to be done, and then I'll negotiate that for you. I just solved another problem for you, and then I solved the big problem of taking that big commission at the end, and I'm just kidding.
You don't have access to all the data, so you can't properly price
Right, and that's one of the biggest things
all
right there is you don't have access to the data. So the things that I bring to the table help you solve that problem.
That's right.
And so getting out there, we kind of jumped off topic there a little bit, but back to Paul. You identified the two big things right there: your schedule and your why. We got about 4 or 5 more to go.
Well, skill set's a big one. I mean, and I think some people can get intimidated because they think they see that, especially a lot of the successful agents understand that the phone makes them money. And that was actually one of my affirmations for my team for a while. The phone makes me money. And then another person came up to me and goes, have you thought about shifting that idea to conversations make me money? Now, the bottom line is I do have to use the phone at a high level. I don't care who you are, where your business comes from. You do need to be phone versed because following up with the open house leads, internet leads, you're going to have to call your sphere of influence. You can't pop by everybody. You gotta use the phone at some point.
The phone's the shortcut. Yeah,
it's a shortcut. And so there's an intimidation factor because the phone equals telemarketing equals I don't want to do that. And so, but you do need to have a skill set of being able to create better conversations. And so I was doing a talk on this the other day on where's your mindset with serving versus selling. So let me rewind just for a second. If you're working on your skill set, then and you come from a foundation, a center of serving, outreach, right? I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just curious. I want to help people. Every new agent will say that. They'll even say it themselves, right? Like, I want to help people. Cool. And then they get into real estate and they're like, well, not those people. And definitely not those people. Maybe those people. Right? So, and the thing is that nobody would want to turn away a paycheck. So your ability to have a better skill set to be able to engage conversations, but I don't want to be salesy. Well, that's the problem. Everybody starts with selling. Stop starting with selling and start starting with serving.
That's right.
Because if you can recalibrate to serving, then, hey, look, I want to help Alicia. I don't know her, so I'm going to ask some questions. And then if I can recalibrate to serving when I get that resistance or I get that rejection, then it doesn't feel sleazy.
Right.
It doesn't feel like I'm trying to force myself upon somebody. It's just curiosity. And when there's intense curiosity, then I just ask more questions. And I repeat and improve my way, like some of the stuff of the training that I do. I repeat and improve my way through the conversation because I can recalibrate to serving versus selling. Because when I serve, I ask good questions, and then all of a sudden I'm closing, all of a sudden I'm selling. Because there's no doubt I got to sell.
Right.
I got to sell to set an appointment. I got to sell to get a contract signed. But when you start with selling and you're trying to close, then serving is so much more difficult. And then you got to come up with all these close tricks and Wolf of Wall Street crap that nobody wants.
Right.
Nobody wants to do. People even doing it don't feel comfortable going through that. But when I start with serving, then I can naturally have good conversation, have outreach, and whether it's the phone or open houses or networking, man, I can engage conversations at a high level. My skill set goes through the roof. My ability to earn more money just happens at a higher level.
Yeah, and when you shift that mindset from selling to serving, and the selling side, you're thinking about you. What do I bring to the table? I.
Yeah.
Serving, it's all about them. Mm-hmm. What can I do for you? What do you need?
And totally, that's hard. I don't know about you, Dave, but for me, like as a high D, that was hard to get out of. Mm-hmm. Because I
still in it, yeah.
Because it kind of instinctively had a little bit of a naturally selfish perspective where, all right, let me just grill you and find out what's up so I can get to you and help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's,
whereas if you just ask a powerful question about them and sit in silence, you'll be surprised what you learn.
Yeah, because that other strategy can come off abrasive, and then okay, cool. I'm connecting with D's and C's,
sure. Yeah.
Personality type. Disc profile. If you don't know what that is, go Google it. But then the I's and S's, like I'm coming off as too strong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, 100%. And that's one thing that I was thinking about was, I forgot what I was going to say.
But if you come
allergy medicine.
You come out the gate selling, people are going to tune you out because.
That's a whole thing we talked about a little bit earlier. Was about abundance. We talked about yesterday was that mindset of abundance. That's how I am these days with people. If I do an open house or if I meet clients, and there's no hard sale of me or the Keller Williams United Group. There's no hard sale of that stuff. And I kind of look at people crazy like, what do you mean you don't want to work with me? I'm awesome. You should want to work with me. I mean, nobody's on top of their game better than me.
There you go.
Right? And you're coming from that area. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm thinking that and just saying, well, okay, well, hey, look, Lance Loken the other day brought up the same thing was, what do you mean you don't want to work with me? Okay, well, go do yourself a favor. Go ahead and save my number because you're going to want to work with me. After you meet 4 or 5 more agents through these open houses you're going to, you'll clearly see that I'm the agent for you because there's nobody better at follow-up. There's nobody better at customer service. There's nobody better about serving your needs. And he really comes from the space where it's not cocky. It's really just kind of this whole abundance thing.
You're walking away from.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, so I'm going to go let you find out, but you'll circle back to me because, I don't need to work with you. I'm not desperate like you think I am.
That's right.
You're under the impression maybe you were at the last open house and that person had commission breath and was really on top of you or whatever else. You come to mine, it's kind of here's a flyer, take a look around and let me know if you have any questions. And I don't pursue you. Now you're like, why is this guy not pursuing me? Does he not want to work with me? Now I've just kind of changed it up on them a little bit to where they come back. And, we've had tremendous success with the whole, the actions we take versus wanting to help people versus forcing ourselves on people, and really pushing ourselves. And we do have a good follow-up game. We do have a good call strategy, and we do have a good way to keep present in front of, omnipresent in front of those potential buyers or sellers. We do have a great way to do that. However, it's never, in my opinion, it's never that like, hey, you have to work with us. Hey, you have to work with us. Hey, you have to work with us. And so I like that whole perspective of the direction we're going with that.
Well, the old Zig Ziglar, right? He used to say, and everybody, a lot of salespeople know this when he says, "Help enough people get what they want, and you'll get everything in life that you want." But what does that mean, really? Because help other people get what they want. So how do I do that without being salesy, right? That's the part where your intense curiosity to really help serve at a high level allows you to engage better questions in spite of, and well, first in spite of my head, because the drunk monkey's working against me, right? And my head's usually saying things to me that are not productive, that are counterproductive to my my actions, and then in spite of what's coming at me externally from resistance or rejection, so that I can repeat and approve and keep asking good questions and asking them well, carefully, gently, empathetically, whatever it is, so that I can be better received. And then that energy is real, and then bang, we're moving forward.
For sure.
Very nice. I do have to put out there that I'm gonna probably in the notes below have to drop a Kellerisms dictionary.
Yeah.
When we say certain things like drunk monkey, I don't think everybody knows what that is.
Yeah, drunk monkey.
So just all the little Kellerisms that we have. Yeah. We have our own little language over here. So that's what a lot of these is tasked with catching those and bringing them to light, so we don't keep our listeners just kind of scratching their heads like, what the hell's a drunk monkey?
That?
Those guys are having a good time over there. Yeah. Real estate on the rocks.
Drunk monkeys running around.
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
What's a drunk monkey?
The hell? So it's it's the voice in your head. So I read this great book. You're either talking to yourself or you're listening to yourself. So if you're talking to yourself, right, I'm being intentional about affirmations or whatever it is that I'm intentionally speaking to myself. Because if you're not talking to yourself, you're definitely listening to yourself.
That's true.
Whether you realize that or not, you either talk to yourself or you listen to yourself. Now, we all listen to ourselves at some points, right? But that's that little voice that's counterproductive to my intentions, to my serving, to my ability to engage activities that I might be uncomfortable with, but yet will allow me to grow financially, personally, spiritually, whatever it is. And so that drunk monkey is that little voice that usually says things to me that I wouldn't let anybody else externally in the world say to me, but I say to myself.
Right.
I wouldn't let anybody talk to me the way my drunk monkey talks to me sometimes. But I let the drunk monkey. So look, that'll happen. That's just called normal.
Yeah.
But how do I counteract that? And that's where some of that hokey dokey stuff for me, when I first got started, I'm like, affirmations. I'm like, this is lame. This is so lame. And then the more I was exposed to it, the more I realized, oh, no,
It's
actually,
important.
I'm lame. And these people who are performing at a very high level are intentionally and at a high level engaging the power of their mind. And I'm the caveman that needs to put my ego down and like really look at like how I'm thinking.
And especially with a D personality, that runs more rampant in us.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like you just said, the way that I talk to myself, I wouldn't let anybody talk to me like that. You know, I would just draw the
There'd be a
line.
fight.
Exactly. Yeah. Be a headbutt. You know, but I sit there and I do that. You know, you can't do that. You can't have success with this. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I can do everything that I want. But one of the reasons that a few years ago when I switched brokerages and came over to this side was I thought all this stuff was lame, just like you said. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Like, what are these people doing? Like chanting in a room together. I'm like, come on, bro. You know, it's like, what's that?
He did.
At this office or just to when you
Just when I came to Keller Williams, they try to convince me to go something called Bold, right? And I go into Bold and to sit there all day long in some seat where it killed my back and whatever else, and I'm listening to this guy talk. And about halfway through, it's like, you know, that drunk monkey's telling me, get the hell out of here, just walk out. This thing sucks. Nobody needs to tell you how to sell real estate, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, you know what, you're here, just take it in and see what's got. I ended up signing up. You know, and actually they ended up giving it to me, but they were still at that time still trying to woo me, but I was
Everyone cries their first time.
Yeah. And so anyway, I came into the whole Bold thing and I kind of bought in. So I started listening to some of the CDs they gave me, reading the book and doing those things. And then I started taking in content off YouTube. So much free content on YouTube where you can take in about affirmations and the power of affirmations and thoughts become things and all that. And as soon as I really started having the buy-in on that, Paul, I started seeing, you know, the success and the deals and getting a little bit bigger and getting a little bit more intentional in the things I was doing every day and realizing, oh, I can do this. I can have 10 conversations a day. I can have 20 conversations a day. Oh my gosh, I'm going on a listing appointment. What do I do? You know, oh my gosh, I've got 15 listings. Like, you know, where am I now? Well, I need 30 listings now. And it just kept progressing and snowballing and that domino effect. Yeah. You know, and just kind of keep ticking them down.
The conversation, let me jump on that for a second, because the conversation is, I think really that's what it, and I've heard Tony Robbins say this, and I know he got this from somebody else before, but when I reference conversation as a relationship from that book, Fierce Conversations, so Tony talks about the quality of your life is going to be contingent upon the quality of the conversations that you have in your life. First with myself, what's that self-talk going on? And then externally with the people around me. And so there's just so much to be able to engage with what's happening internally with my own conversation and externally. I lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
Well, can I jump on that real quick? Because I was actually going to touch on that. So when you improve your internal world, your external naturally improves. Because if you look at the law of attraction, or Bold, what you focus on expands, right? So if you look at that, so if I am intentionally focusing on everything positive and everything that I want in life, I'm naturally going to attract it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Manifest destiny.
Yes.
Yeah. Conversations. That's what it was. Conversations. How good are the conversations that I'm having?
Right.
Lost my train of thought again.
Oh my gosh. All right.
There's good drinks.
I would say Paul's cut off.
So
Well-
if you can have a powerful internal conversation, that's just going to improve your external conversations.
Right.
Is that
right,
where you're
right.
trying to
Well,
go?
it's just
It's what you feed.
How-
Feed yourself,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and how often am I really being intentional about the conversations that I'm having with myself, and then the conversations like with the people around me? Because I'll tell you, every problem in this business and in my life boils back down to quantity and quality of conversations. I have a messed up relationship with my wife. How often am I talking to her? How good or bad are the conversations? I don't get enough referrals. How often do you talk to them? How good are the conversations? My team sucks. Whatever. How often do you talk to them? How good are the conversations?
Right.
I mean, my relationship with my kid, whatever. Every relationship is rooted in either quality and or quantity of those conversations.
Right.
It's good.
I like that. And there's the whole thing too that kind of piggybacks off that is you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most.
That's right.
Right. And so that's one thing I've tried to do with our team is surround ourselves with high level thinkers that come in and, over here at this market center that I'm at, there's some people here that think way bigger than I ever even thought.
I love that.
So yeah, it was, I come over here and it's like, I think I'm at a brokerage over here and I'm doing a great job and I'm thinking big and I'm hearing about all this stuff. You got to think bigger, think bigger, think bigger. And I walk over here and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at what some of these folks are doing over here. Now that's thinking big. That's one reason why I joined this market center, and that's one reason that keeps me going every day. And now, my whole goal was to chase them, to be on their level and to be number one, to become better than them.
Right.
Not better than them, but just
Right.
just to high up in the rankings. Like I like to be on top of the
Playing the
leaderboards all the
same
time. Yeah. If we're going to play the same game, I want to be number one on the leaderboard, and I'll fight for that in all of 2019. And to help me get there is going to be the conversations I get to have and the quality of the conversations. And I know that if I'm just having poor conversations that are just really dealing with all the things that we aren't doing instead of all the positive things that we are doing, more than likely, we're not going to have a lot of growth, right? And so I've got to keep the whole vibe positive and keep the people around me, the thinkers around me, and really ask questions like Paul was saying and really dig out of all those people of that, okay, my thought is this, what's your thought? And see how it pairs with mine and how intentionally we can put together our plan of action and strive towards the best. Because I can't get anywhere without my team.
Right.
My market center, my family, and so all the conversations and all the everybody that I surround myself with has to be positive, and so anyway, where are we at on this?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting deep here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm about to hug.
Oh, wait, I got to hug Marshall. So,
take one.
all right.
HR department standing outside.
Yeah.
No hugs.
No hug zone.
All right. Once again, I want to thank Paul Campanaro for joining us today. Paul, tell us how to get a hold of you.
Paul, you can visit my Facebook group, Paulie C. You can visit my YouTube channel, Paulie C. You can email me, pauliec@kw.com. And there's lots of free content actually on the YouTube training. So much, whether you're doing expireds or you focus primarily, you have a heavier focus on sphere of influence. There's a script book to download on the Facebook group. And certainly any questions or comments or concerns or anything I can share, I'd love to be able to respond via email.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we're going to wrap up this edition of Real Estate on the Rocks. We want to thank Guild Mortgage, our sponsor, and we want to thank Marshall Tucker, Alicia Hooper, and the new guy, James Mendez.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a mic today. Peace out. We're gone.
Bye, y'all.